What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Adventures in Drunk Fish Keeping. It is refreshing. Tonight's brew is Samuel Adams Old Fitzwiggin. It's a kind of spiced ale. Good, like it. A little hoppy, but it's an ale. A little darker than most ales, but really good if you're doing your drunk fish keeping. So, a couple things. Did the video yesterday afternoon of Fish Room in Wilmington, North Carolina. That's where I'm at. That was just showing you guys my local LFS, kind of the cool stuff they have, and why I'm kind of a fan of going to an LFS over like a big box store, unless I'm just trying to get hardware cheap, because a lot of times you can get the deals, the big box stores. That's normally when I pick up a tank, that's where I go. Because you can always talk them down. They'll always work with you on a price, especially when it's a big tank that's been sitting for a while, because big fish tanks don't sell fast. So always keep that in the back of your head when you're looking for a tank, unless you get a good deal on a used one, which I'm never opposed. Like I said, I got the 120. It was a used tank. Got it for a great deal, so I bought it that way. Otherwise, I probably would have tried to, go find the display tank's been sitting out at PetSmart for 2 years collecting dust, going, hey, I give you X amount for it. Do you take it just to get it off your floor? So you never know. So on to the quarantine tank. Basic setup, nothing crazy. We've got this right here in the corner of the bedroom. It is a 10-gallon, just 10-gallon Aqueon framed tank. Nothing special. It's 15 bucks. We've got a couple pieces of stone and shell in there just for some cover. The fish want it. Stuff I'm not worried about getting medication in, because it's stuff I'm not going to put in any other tank again. I'm not really a big fan of the look of it, so it won't go in another tank. You don't want to put sand in a quarantine tank. I prefer to do those bare bottom, unless you absolutely have to, like a wrasse species or something like that. This one's open lid. If you got jumpers, just put an egg crate over it. Don't spend a lot of money on it. Cheap light, a desk lamp. The lamp, like a bedroom lamp, would work just fine. Let's see, like that. That works fine. You don't have to have big lighting. You really don't need any lighting, but obviously you want to keep your fish on somewhat of a normal day schedule. So, simple thing is, you want to get your tank started. 5-10 gallon, unless you got a bigger fish. If you got a big display and you've got big fish that you're already going to put in there, tangs, angels, things like that, you may have to get a 20 or 30 gallon tank just so they have some room to move, so they're not getting stir crazy. If you've got a very small juvenile hippo, purple, flamingo, small tang that's a juvenile, you can put it in 10 gallon. It's got plenty of room to move just for the couple weeks you're going to have in quarantine. If you're getting a bigger species already, like something that's already like hand sized, obviously you don't want to put a 6-inch fish in a tank where it's only going to be able to basically just do laps all day. It's not going to be happy. It's just going to stress the fish out. So make sure your quarantine tank matches the fish. Obviously, in this one, there's Tron, Goby, and a clown. Reason why we're doing that is because the other morning, 36, woke up, found the Citron loaded with ick, and the clown we pulled for good measure. So right now, just coral and the 36, which it's doing good. All the inverts, everything's doing good. This Elegance coral is just out and about and just looking gorgeous. But obviously, when you do most of your ick parasitic treatments, you cannot put those in with any type of invertebrates, and it's really not the best to put them in with coral. Even if you had a reef tank without inverts, which no one has, it's not good for the coral. Most corals won't tolerate copper. Some will not tolerate some of the other medications like the tricyclines and stuff like that. They won't tolerate it. They'll die. Most of your inverts will not tolerate it either. So it's best to have a tank pulled aside and set up. Like I said, you can set up a quarantine tank cheap. And that was the whole purpose of this tank. We didn't spend a lot of money on the tank. $15 for the tank, about 12 bucks on a heater, and I already had a spare small power head floating around. It's this little high door 420, which is perfect for a 10-gallon tank. And we bought a bubbler. We bought a bubble filter. So basically, it's set up as it's your bubbler to make oxygen, obviously, and then it's got a foam ring around it where it sucks water in. So as the air pushes in, it basically makes a reverse vacuum, sucks water through it, and bubbles it back up the top. Probably going to set that up during the day to run, just for the fact that it is insanely loud with the air pump going, and I just don't want to hear that when I'm trying to sleep. So that'll be something I'll probably put in there tonight, plug it in the morning, walk out the door, unplug it when I get home. Otherwise, right now, I've got the power head working the top of the water to break the water up, keep it moving, keep some oxygen in there. When it comes to setting up quarantine tank, For filtration, that's why you don't want to do anything set like a bubbler or the method I'm doing right now, which is basically going to be like, you know, sucking the waste out of here daily. I've got enough spare water floating around that's cycled and or fresh, so I don't have to worry about it. Now, if you don't have an abundance of tank water floating around to put in there, it's already got some bacteria in the column, you're going to want to have a cycled tank. Now, live rock is a problem in one of these because the copper will just suck right up into the live rock. You can never put it in a display tank again, which is fine if you're going to put a little bit of live rock in a quarantine, and that's going to be your established quarantine tank. But you want to be careful because you can never take that live rock and put it into a reef tank, because then you're going to have copper leaching out of it as time goes. Another reason you want to be careful with doing live rocks and stuff like that is because you have to be very careful on the amount of dosing you do with most of these parasitic treatments. Live rock, live sand will absorb that, which over time can spike levels. So if you get fresh fish put in there, dose them like you're wanting to dose them, not paying attention to your copper levels, your alkalinities and things like that, because you don't test the water, you may end up killing the fish right off the bat by poisoning it. So it's kind of a benefit to maybe just do stuff that won't absorb, like pieces of, you know, shell that really won't pull anything in, and or like I got barnacle in there, stuff that's not going to pull stuff in. I'm not going to put live rock in it. I've just put some bacteria in there to help break down some of the waste so I don't have a huge spike, but nothing crazy. Now, granted, I'm only going to have these fish in here for probably about 2 weeks before they come back out and they go into the main display again once they've showed no signs of ick. You know, both of them are already looking great already from the initial round of treatment. Got to do another one tomorrow night, and then it'll probably be a 2-week period before I'll be putting those guys back into the main display. But we will keep the quarantine tank for future purchases just in case, because it can come from anywhere. You can go to the cleanest fish store on the planet, one that every tank looks pristine. It can pop up. You get fresh shipments of fish and ick will pop up. The only time you're going to have to not worry about ick is if you have a completely closed system with no new additions, and the tank was started sterile, which is what I did on the 54 and didn't have the best of luck. I started the 120, not so sterile, and I've had a great time. But I started the 54 with dry rock, dry sand, and water, and added the bacteria culture in through like seed and remediation from Seachem, and let it cycle that way. And all the fish, all the coral I got were like fish. Made sure they look good in the store, put them in there, kept them fat, and all the coral I got were frags, no wild like cut and pulled colonies. That was helpful, but it also took forever to get a established tank where you get that old tank that you want. You get stuff in there it's been living already. So wanted this video, guys, about doing a quarantine tank. Like I said, it's a pretty simple setup. There's not a lot to it. Questions, comments, put them down below. If you guys like the video, like it. I did the one on fish room. They're going to be getting some cool stuff in here shortly, so probably about the next month, 2 months, when that happens and everything's set up, I'm going to take you guys back, show you some stuff. I'm probably going to do something cool here shortly with the 120. There's a fish I've been eyeballing I'm going to put in there. Maybe a bit of a gamble, but I'm going to try it and just kind of see how it goes. But like I said, guys, questions, comments, put them up. Like the video, please, and enjoy Adventures in Drunk Fish Keeping. That is refreshing.